thank everybody for coming. I know we have people coming in, so just come in, please sit down. I want to make a motion tonight to suspend all regular business tonight, the minutes, financial report, business agents, so we can put on a presentation to address the members' inquiries regarding the investigation of John Ulrich and Larry DeBellis. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Just so you know, tonight we have the two attorneys that were directly involved with the investigation of John Ulrich and Larry DeBellis. And they will put on slides and talking to you everything they went through to find, during the investigation to find out what happened, the allegations, and tonight both of them will speak to you in detail all the facts uncovered during the investigation. I'm going to start it off with one event. About a year ago, I was going over the charge card in my office, and I saw a charge for Home Depot under John Ulrich's name. So I called up John. I said, John, what's it for? Home Depot. He says, I bought a generator. Okay, why'd you buy a generator? Well, I bought a generator because, we needed a generator because ours broke, which it did. Okay, generator broke. I said, okay, we've used the RV before to pump up the rat. That's what he said we needed it for. I said, okay, I need the generator and the receipt. He said, okay. About a week and a half later, I happened to see him in the winter coat. He threw the generator in the back of my car. I said, okay, I just need a receipt. Went to the office, threw the generator in my office, it's still in my office. About a couple days after that, it was about a week after that, after I got the generator, I was still waiting for the receipt. Jim Scarpati walked in my office. He's the controller in our office, if you don't know who he is. He hands me a check. The amount at the Home Depot was $241.19. Okay? He says, here's a check. I said, what's that? He says, it's from John. He says, you're saying you needed a receipt, so he's just going to donate $245 to the generator. So I go, until that point, I believe John. Okay? I believed him. And I said, wait a second. What a generator from our union charge card. Now he wants to pay for it out of his money. Something don't sit right. So I went to Home Depot. Jimmy, if you could put the slide up, please. To get the receipt from Home Depot. I know it's hard to see. I'm just going to name off a few of the items that are on there. A hinge, three-way switch, chrome heavy-duty pole socket, joint compound, dimmer switches, tie and belt rack. It totaled $331.19. He paid $90 cash, leaving $241.18, which was on our charge card. So he lied, and he tried to cover it up with that check he brought in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the attorneys now to run through what happened with all the joint counsel, how they came to their conclusion. And first I'm going to introduce Roland Acevedo, who headed that investigation when we first started. And this is Roland Acevedo there. And just so you know, I asked Roland to say a few words. I know there was comments about Roland's past, and I asked Roland to address it, and he will. He said, but this man right here is the best man for the job. He's done it a long time, and he's really good at it. So as of right now, I'd like to turn it over to Roland Acevedo. Please pay attention and listen. Thank you.
So good evening. As I just told you, my name's Roland Acevedo. I'm an attorney. I do lots of different things. I'll tell you what I do in a little bit, but I just want to make sure, because I'm down here now at eye level instead of up there on the podium, that everybody can see and hear me. You okay in the back there?
Yeah.
Good. Do I need to shout louder?
Yeah.
You got me. Okay. So, as Ed told you, I was retained by the local to conduct an investigation into alleged misconduct involving John. I've done a lot of investigations. I'll tell you about some of them in a few minutes. Now my job here today is real simple because I don't have any horse in this race. What I do is I investigate things however they come to me, I lay out the evidence, and then whoever's in charge, I let them to decide what they want to do. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to lay out some of the evidence for you, so you're going to be able to see it with your own two eyes. You'll see things up on that screen, you're going to make your own decisions. My job is not to persuade you. My job is to do what I do every day in court. And in fact, I spent my whole day today on trial. What I do is I show people things in black and white, and then they can make their own decisions. Now, everybody here, I'm sure, is familiar with TV shows involving attorneys and crime, right? They're really, really popular. So if you're as old as me, you remember Perry Mason. If you're a younger group, and a lot of you guys are younger, you probably watch Law and Order. So in all of these shows, it's the same players. It's the judge or the arbitrator who decides, what issues are going on. It's the attorneys for both sides. In the criminal defense shows on TV, it's the prosecutor and defense attorneys like me. And then there's the most crucial player in the process. And that most crucial player in the process is the jury. In our American system of justice, the jury has a unique role, and let me tell you why. It's the jury and the jury alone that looks at the evidence and decides the facts. Now, juries are uniquely qualified to do that, and let me tell you why. Because they have zero legal training. In a courtroom, we're not interested in the law. We're interested in people deciding what the truth is and what the truth isn't. And how do jurors do that? Real simple. They use their common sense and their everyday life experience based on what they see and hear. So tonight, you're going to fill that role. You're going to be the jury for the evidence that I'm going to present, and you alone are going to decide what you believe and what you don't believe. I don't care what you believe, quite frankly. That's up to you. It's the same thing if we were in a courtroom. I present, the jury decides. So tonight I'll be presenting. You're going to be making the big decision, so pay attention because it's on you, it's not on me. All right? Now, Ed just mentioned to you that before I start with the evidence, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. I'm not a guy that likes to talk about myself, okay? But there is some allegation made about me that I think that I should address, at least somewhat, so you get a clearer view of who I am and what I do. Now, back on August 8, 2016, a couple of members filed a pretty lengthy submission, 15 or so pages, and they tried to bring charges against Ed and a few other people on the executive board. In that August 8th submission, there was an allegation about me. And that allegation was that the local was nuts to hire me because I had a criminal conviction for armed robbery, I had a shootout with the police, and I had done time in jail. So, that kind of stuff in my life is really commonplace and it's not a secret. So I don't really have to defend myself. I'm going to tell you what they didn't tell you, okay? Approximately, I don't know, I'm in my 60s, so 45 years ago, I was a younger guy, and I grew up in pretty tough neighborhoods throughout New York City, and in those neighborhoods, drugs were like commonplace, and they were rampant. And most people in my neighborhood, including me, got hooked on drugs. It was just part of the culture. It was pretty much common. So to support a drug habit, you're not going to go to work every day like you guys, 9 to 5. So I had turned to crime to support the drug habit, just like me and all my homies. Now, I wasn't particularly good at crime. I was one of those guys who did something and almost got caught every single time. So in my particular case, I did a couple of crimes, and almost every case I got caught. On a couple of occasions I got caught, I admitted my guilt, I went to jail, and I did some time. Now, I'm not one of these guys that you see on TV that says, I was mistaken identity, I'm one of the guys they picked out, I was innocent, I did all of this time unjustly. In my case, the system got it exactly right. I did something wrong, they convicted me, I went to jail. So that's no mystery. Now, prison, and I don't have to tell you this because this is not one of those kind of presentations. Prison isn't Club Med, okay? I didn't particularly enjoy it, but it definitely saved my life for a couple of reasons. Number one, it probably prevented me or stopped me from getting AIDS or getting shot and killed like most of my friends. I used to keep a list in my drawer of all my friends that had died. When the list got to 40 people, I tore it up because it was getting too depressing. So prison really probably saved my life. But two other things became really more important in that whole process. One, it got me sober because it removed me from that drug culture. And two, most thankfully, it gave me an education. When I went to prison, I was a high school dropout. I came out of prison with an associate degree. From there, I got a bachelor's, a master's in social work, and a law degree. So I went to law school here in New York. I went to Fordham, which is a wonderful Jesuit institution, which has a lot of the principles I believe in. And when I graduated from Fordham, let me tell you what I did, because it's important with respect to who I am. The very first job out of law school was a federal clerkship. And if you don't know lawyers, you don't really know what a federal clerkship is. But a federal clerkship is, I was a guy who worked for a woman judge in Manhattan, a federal judge appointed by Clinton. And what I did was I advised her, I did her writing, I did her research. I was kind of like a right-hand man. Now, that judge knew all about my background. And I don't have to tell you that most judges are conservative in this country. So that judge hired me, despite knowing my background, because I would think that she thought that I had excellent character because I overcame tremendous adversity. Now, that clerkship is the key to the legal kingdom. When you graduate with a federal clerkship or you complete a federal clerkship, you can work any way you want in the United States. People were throwing money at me to come to their firms. I didn't do any of that. I went and I did public interest work in the South Bronx, and then later I decided to work in this world with the Teamsters. Why? There's lots of people in my family with Teamsters, including my dad and lots of my uncles. Now, to become an attorney, and this is important, I don't want to give you too much of a civics exercise tonight, you have to do three things. And one of these things is extremely important. One, you have to go to an accredited law school like Fordham. You have to graduate. You have to take the bar exam as the second thing. It's a tough test, 2 days. And the third thing you have to do, which is really significant here, is you have to get past what they call the character committee. So the character committee is a bunch of lawyers, conservative white guys generally, who interview you and ask you about your background, ask you to explain yourself. Needless to say, my interview was a little longer than most people's interviews. So the character committee approved me. They decided that I had the requisite, and the test is present good moral character to be trusted to be an attorney. So I've overcome a lot of hurdles. The character committee, a federal judge, lots of other judges. To be here today, to be an attorney, to practice, despite my background. So the fact that I have a conviction doesn't really say much about me, in my opinion. The fact that I overcome that conviction, I think, speaks volumes about me. So whoever posted that garbage about me, what they didn't post was all the other stuff I did since then to overcome. Now, there may be people in this room, I don't know and I don't want to know, who have had similar experiences. But if not, I guarantee you, there's dozens of people in this room who know people in their families, neighbors down the block, buddies from high school, who had similar experiences, or worse, who overcame worse. And I'm sure all of those people you know, you view them in high esteem, because you say if they could overcome that, then that speaks a lot about their character. That's a testament to their character. So when people posted stuff about me in that letter and on the internet, they only gave you like 5% of me. They didn't give you the other 95%, which I'm giving you today. So I want to put all of that in context before I get into this evidence that I'm about to present.